The rain hammered the roof like God's own judgment. Each drop an accusation Adam couldn't dodge anymore. "Mom! Dad! I'm gay," he choked out, the words tasting like battery acid on his tongue. And the kitchen went dead silent except for the sizzle of overboiling potatoes on the stove. His mother's teacup shattered on the linoleum as she crumpled to the floor, her gasp ripping through him sharper than any knife. 40 years later, he could still hear it echoing in his bones. Adam stared at the obituary in the Chicago Tribune, the black ink blurring under his thumb as if the news itself was trying to smudge away the man who'd haunted his every quiet moment. Harold Whitaker, 89, beloved husband, father, veteran, gone. Just like that, felled by a heart attack in his recliner during a Bears game rerun. No fanfare, no lingering goodbyes. The old bastard had checked out mid-play, remote still clutched in his liver-spotted hand. Adam's chest tightened, not with grief exactly, but with something heavier, a long-buried key finally turning in a rusted lock. He was 62 now, gray threading through his once dark hair like veins of regret, living in a tidy bungalow on the outskirts of Evanston, Illinois, where Lake Michigan's chill winds whispered reminders of all the warmth he'd denied himself. The house was his alone, walls lined with dog-eared paperbacks and faded Polaroids of hikes in the Smokies, places he'd gone solo because who the hell would join a man like him? Retirement from the accounting firm had come 2 years back. A gold watch and a pension that bought solitude but not peace. And now, with Dad's ashes cooling in some urn at the funeral home, the silence he'd armored himself in for 4 decades felt like a noose loosening at last. The drive back to the family home in Rockford was a blur of interstate gray, the kind of flat, unforgiving Midwest landscape that mirrored the ache in his gut. Mom had passed a decade ago, her body giving out from the rheumatoid arthritis that twisted her like a pretzel, but her ghost lingered in every mile marker. That night in '85, the rain, the confession, the collapse had been their last real conversation. She'd whispered, "Why, Adam? Why us?" as paramedics loaded her onto a stretcher, her eyes glassy with pills and betrayal. Dad had just stood there, fists balled, muttering about sin and shame until the ambulance doors slammed shut. Adam had bolted to the city after that, burying himself in ledgers and late nights, marrying Ellen 6 months later in a shotgun ceremony at the county courthouse. She was kind, practical, a high school teacher with laugh lines that never reached her eyes when they lay side by side in the dark. No kids. They both knew better. It was a truce, not a marriage. And when she left for a cousin in Florida after 20 years, neither shed a tear. Rockford greeted him with the sour tang of the Rock River, factories shuddering like eyelids in the November dusk. The house on 3rd Street hadn't changed. Sagging porch, aluminum siding peeling like old skin, the maple in the yard bare and skeletal. Sarah, his younger sister by 5 years, met him at the door, her hug fierce and fleeting, scented with menthols and the diner coffee she chugged to stay upright. "You came," she said, pulling back to eye him like he might vanish. Sarah was 57, tough as boot leather from raising 3 boys solo after her own divorce, her hair a bottle blonde helmet that defied the years. "Wouldn't miss it," Adam lied, stepping inside where the air hung thick with mothballs and memories. The living room was a shrine to Dad, his purple heart framed above the mantel, fishing lures dangling from hooks like forgotten talismans. Photos dotted the walls, Adam in Little League, Cap Askew, grinning like the world was his, the family at Christmas '79. Mom's smile strained even then, Dad in his army fatigues, stone-faced and unyielding. The wake was small. Neighbors murmuring platitudes over styrofoam cups of punch. Aunts clucking about how Harold had gone peaceful. Adam nodded through it all. The prodigal son returned. But his mind kept circling back to that kitchen. The shatter of porcelain like the first crack in his soul. When the last guest trickled out, Sarah poured them whiskeys in the den, the bottle glugging like a confession. He never said it, you know, she started, swirling her glass, ice clinking like accusations. About that night. Never once. Just shut down. Like you did. Adam's throat burned. The liquor no match for the truth rising like bile. I had to, Sarah. He would have killed me. Or worse, disowned me clean. She leaned forward. Eyes sharp. And Mom? She loved you. Adam. Carried that secret like a stone till it crushed her. Doc said the arthritis. But we both know it was the heart. He looked away. Out the window where streetlights buzzed against the gathering snow. I wrote her letters. Burned 'em all before mailing. Thought it'd hurt less. Sarah's laugh was bitter. A bark that echoed off the paneled walls. Hurt less for who? You ghosted us. Big brother. Married that nice Lady Ellen. God rest her patience. And built a life like ours never happened. Dad died thinking you hated him. The words landed like punches, each one bruising the scar tissue he'd spent decades layering over the wound. Adam drained his glass, the burn spreading to his chest. I didn't hate him. I hated what he made me become. Silent. Small. They sat like that till midnight, the house creaking around them, ghosts stirring in the floorboards. Sarah crashed on the couch, snoring softly, but sleep evaded Adam. He wandered upstairs to his old room, unchanged like a museum exhibit. Twin bed with chenille spread, posters of Springsteen curling at the edges. The desk where he'd first scrawled, I love Peter, in a notebook, heart pounding with the thrill of forbidden ink. Peter. Christ. Even his name conjured smoke and leather, the scent of a boy who'd cracked Adam open like a safe. They'd met senior year at Guilford High, in the auto shop where grease monkey kids like them tinkered with carburetors to avoid PE. Peter O'Malley, with his mop of auburn curls and freckles like constellations across his nose, had leaned over Adam's '72 Impala one afternoon, toolbox clanking, and said, Hand me that wrench, Whitaker. Unless you're too busy daydreaming about boys. Adam had frozen, socket set slipping from his fingers. But Peter's grin was a lifeline, wicked, knowing, pulling him under. That summer blurred into stolen nights. Bonfires by the river, hands fumbling under flannel shirts, whispers of forever against the hum of cicadas. Peter dreamed big art school in Chicago, galleries in New York, while Adam played it safe. Calculus was bound for community college and a steady job. But love like theirs was a wildfire in dry tinder, and when Adam came out to his folks, it was Peter's courage that pushed him. Tell 'em, babe, or it'll eat you alive. The collapse had severed everything. Peter waited in the car that night, engine idling, but Adam never came back out. Instead, he packed a duffel and vanished into the city lights, leaving a note, I'm sorry. Don't follow. 40 years. And he'd honored it, through the AIDS crisis that claimed half their crowd, through Ellen's quiet unraveling, through the mirror that showed a stranger staring back. Peter had become legend, a ghost story Adam told himself in the dark. Successful painter now, exhibits from Soho to LA, married to some gallery curator, living the life Adam had forfeited. Downstairs, the clock chimed 3, and Adam found himself at Dad's desk, drawer half open, rifling through yellowed envelopes and check stubs. Tucked beneath a stack of bills was a photo, creased and faded. Him and Peter at the county fair, arms slung casual around shoulders, cotton candy staining their grins. Dad must have found it years ago, hidden it like contraband. On the back, in Peter's looping script, "To my Adam, always." The dam cracked then, tears hot and unbidden, soaking the image until the ink ran like absolution. For the first time in decades, Adam let the sob rip free, raw and ragged, the house absorbing it like a long-withheld breath. Morning came gray and grudging, snow dusting the windshield as Adam shoveled the drive, muscles protesting the unaccustomed labor. Sarah watched from the kitchen window, coffee mug steaming, her face a map of unspoken worries. The funeral was at 10. Mary's packed with vets in berets and neighbors in ill-fitting suits. Father O'Malley, Peter's uncle, delivering a eulogy that painted Dad as a pillar, unyielding but fair. Adam sat in the pew, Sarah's hand cold in his, the casket gleaming like a lie under stained glass light. At the graveside, wind whipping the flags on the veterans' plot, Sarah pulled him aside behind a copse of evergreens. "There's a box in the attic. Mom's things. Dad never touched it. Figured you'd want first look." He nodded, numb, as dirt pattered on the lowered coffin like hesitant rain. The drive home was quieter, the weight of finality settling like frost. Up in the attic, dust motes danced in the bulb's weak glow, the air thick with insulation and regret. Mom's trunk was there, latched with a rusted hasp, her initials embossed in peeling leather, EW. Inside, amid crochet hooks and recipe cards, was a bundle of letters, his letters, the ones he'd burned in effigy but somehow, impossibly, sent. No, these were replies. In Mom's spidery hand, "My dearest boy, I pray for you every night. Come home when you're ready. Love never leaves." Dozens of them, unsent, folded with care beside a rosary and a single ticket stub from a chorus line. The musical she'd seen alone after he left. Underlining the program, "Everyone has a right to their song." Adam sank to the floorboards, the trunk spilling its secrets like a confessional. Hours passed, or maybe minutes, time bent in the dimness. When Sarah called him down for lunch, his eyes were red-rimmed, voice steady for the first time in days. "I need to make this right," he said, not to her, but to the empty room. Whatever's left of it. That night, alone in the guest room, he pulled out his phone, smart as a pocket computer, a far cry from the rotary dials of his youth, and typed "Peter O'Malley Artist" into the search bar. The results flooded in: gallery links, reviews in the Sun-Times, a headshot of a man whose curls had silvered but eyes still sparked like mischief. Exhibiting at the Art Institute next month. Chicago. Close enough to touch. His thumb hovered over the contact button, heart thundering like that first confession. 40 years silent. What harm in one more word? The gallery in River North buzzed with the clink of wine glasses and murmurs of the art crowd. Sleek women in sheath dresses. Men with ironic mustaches dissecting brushstrokes like stock tips. Adam felt like an imposter in his wool blazer, the one Ellen had picked out for their anniversary, starched collar chafing his neck as he wove through the throng. Posters of Peter's latest show. Fractured lines, loomed overhead, abstract slashes of crimson and indigo, evoking wounds half-healed. Fitting, Adam thought, swallowing the knot in his throat. He'd driven down that morning, telling Sarah he needed city air, her knowing nod the only permission required. The exhibit catalog trembled in his grip. Peter's bio leaping out. O'Malley draws from personal exile, turning silence into strokes of defiant color. Adam's breath hitched. Had Peter known? Carried the echo too? Spotting him across the room, mid-conversation with a curator in pearls, was like stepping into sunlight after decades underground. Peter hadn't changed so much, taller in memory, but the same lean frame, freckles faded to whispers, that artist's slouch that said he owned the chaos. A gold band glinted on his ring finger, a reminder sharper than any scalpel. Adam hung back, nursing a plastic cup of Merlot, watching Peter laugh, a low, rumbling sound that curled through the din like smoke. When the curator drifted away, Peter scanned the crowd, eyes landing on him like fate's cruel joke. Recognition dawned slow, then bloomed, jaw slackening as he crossed the room in 3 strides. Jesus! Adam Whitaker. Peter's voice was gravel and honey, unchanged, wrapping around the old nickname like a handshake. Yeah. Me. Adam's mouth went dry, words sticking like gravel. Heard about the show. Had to see it. Peter's gaze raked him, taking in the lines etched by time, the paunch from desk years, the hesitation in his stance. 40 years. And you pick tonight? Universe has a sense of humor. They stepped onto the balcony, city lights sprawling below like a circuit board of what-ifs. The November air bit sharp, carrying exhaust and distant horns, the pulse of Chicago indifferent to their reunion. Peter lit a cigarette, Marlboro's still. Adam noted with a pang, exhaling a plume that fogged the railing. Look, I don't. Adam started, but Peter cut him off. Gentle. Save the apologies. I got your note. Understood it then. Understand it now. He flicked ash, eyes distant. Life happened. Mine too, galleries. A husband named Theo who puts up with my moods. Kids. Even. Adopted twins from the agency. Who knew? The casual litany stung. A highlight reel of the life Adam had glimpsed in news clippings, envied in weak moments. Proud of you, he managed, meaning it, the words heavy with unsaid branches. Peter turned, leaning close enough that Adam caught the scent of turpentine and sandalwood. And you? Rockford royalty. Huh? Accounting kingpin? Adam chuckled. Bitter. Dad's gone. Mom years back. Sarah's holding the fort. Existed. That's the verb. Silence stretched. Companionable yet charged. The kind that hummed with ghosts. Peter stubbed out his smoke. The red one's mine, he said, nodding to a canvas inside, all jagged edges bleeding into blue. That night. Your mom's fall. The rain. Painted it in 87. Drunk on gin. Therapy on canvas. Adam's gut twisted. Saw it. Felt it. They talked then, halting at first, then spilling like a dam breach. Peter's rise through the art scene. The plague years that hollowed out their circle. Friends lost to AZT lines and denial. Adam's sham marriage. Ellen's grace in leaving. The letters to mom he'd never sent. The ones she'd written back in vain. Laughter crept in. Rueful, remembering the fair. The Impala's bench seat. A stolen kiss behind the bleachers that tasted of hot dogs and rebellion. As the crowd thinned, Theo appeared, a broad-shouldered guy with a beard like a lumberjack's and eyes kind as lake water. "Babe, we're heading to Louise's for late bites. You coming?" Peter glanced at Adam, a question hanging unspoken. "This is Adam. Old friend from Rockford." Theo's handshake was firm, smile genuine. "Heard stories. The Impala guy, right? Pete won't shut up about that summer." Heat flooded Adam's face, but Peter's wink disarmed it. "Join us? No pressure." He demurred, citing the drive, but took Peter's card, bold script on thick stock, promising coffee soon. Driving north on Lake Shore Drive, windows down to taste the wind, Adam felt lighter, unmoored, the city's glow fading in the rearview like a fever dream. Back in Evanston, the bungalow waited dark and empty, but sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with Peter's laugh and Mom's gasp. Morning brought email, Peter's subject line, "Not a ghost story." Inside, a link to a podcast, his own voice, raw in an interview, "Exiles the Great Teacher. You learn to love the fragments." Adam replied before coffee cooled, "Fragments fit better than I thought. Lunch next week." The yes came swift, and so began the unraveling or weaving, depending on the light. Lunches stretched to dinners at hole-in-the-wall Ticarius, where they dissected life's detours over Al Pastor and Michelidas. Peter was married, content, but the pull between them was gravitational, a tide neither fully resisted. Stolen touches under tables, knees brushing in theater seats, harmless, they told themselves, echoes of boys who'd never grown up. Sarah noticed, of course, during a holiday call. "Who's got you smiling like a fool?" "Adam?" "Spill." He hedged, but she pressed, "That artist fella? The one from the fair." Her tone was teasing, but laced with caution. "Just don't build castles on sand, brother. You're fragile these days." She wasn't wrong. Dad's death had cracked the facade, and Peter's orbit stirred the dust. One night, after a showing in Wicker Park, Peter's Midwest Requiem series, canvases of rusted silos and fractured skylines, Adam lingered too long in the artist's alcove. Theo was schmoozing donors. Peter, tie loosened, pulled him into a shadowed corner. "Miss this?" Peter murmured, forehead to Adam's, breath warm. "You." The kiss was inevitable, soft at first, then desperate, hands clutching lapels like lifelines. It tasted of regret and redemption, 40 years distilled into tongues and teeth. They broke apart gasping, Peter's eyes dark pools. "Theo," Adam started, guilt crashing like a wave. "Knows. We've talked boundaries. But this. It's not nothing." Adam fled then, heart hammering, the drive home a gauntlet of self-recrimination. What was he doing? A widower in his 60s, dredging up embers to burn anew? But the texts kept coming, Peter's quips, photos of his twins' finger-painting chaos, and Adam replied, hooked deeper each time. Winter deepened, snow blanketing Evanston in hush, and Adam found himself at Sarah's for Christmas, the house alive with grandson's shrieks and turkey smells. She cornered him by the tree, ornaments twinkling like accusations. Saw the card from Peter. To old flames. Bold. That one. Adam flushed, stringing lights to avoid her gaze. Just friends. Sarah. Reconnecting. She snorted, handing him a mug of eggnog spiked heavy. Friends don't look at each other like that. Remember what Dad did to Uncle Ray. Kicked him out after the army. Never spoke his name again. Uncle Ray, the family phantom, the confirmed bachelor who'd vanished to San Francisco in '68. Rumors of bathhouses and heartbreak trailing like smoke. Dad's brother. Silence same as Adam. The cycle unbroken. He was wrong, Adam said, voice low. All of them were. Sarah's eyes softened. Hand on his arm. Then break it. For Mom. For you. New Year's Eve found him at Peter's studio in Pilsen, a converted warehouse loft where canvases leaned like sentinels, paint splatters mapping the floor like abstract confessions. Theo was in Milwaukee for a conference, deliberate, Adam suspected, and the air crackled with intent. They cooked pasta Alfredo, wine flowing loose, stories unfurling till the clock struck 12. To fragments, Peter toasted, glass clinking atoms. To fitting them back, the kiss that followed led to the futon, clothes shedding like old skins, bodies rediscovering rhythms long forgotten. It was tender, urgent. Peter's hands mapping scars time had etched, Adam's lips tracing the lines of a life fully lived. No promises, just presence. The city's fireworks blooming outside like distant stars. After, tangled in sheets scented with linseed oil, Peter traced Adam's collarbone. Stay the night. Adam did. Dawn creeping in soft. Theo's key turning in the lock hours later met with easy smiles and coffee brewed strong. No jealousy, just a quiet pact, space for this, whatever it was. Spring thawed the ice, and with it came the first fracture. Sarah called. Voice tight, found Dad's journals. In the basement. You need to read him. Adam drove to Rockford that afternoon. The journal's leather-bound relics. Dad's block letters marching across pages like soldiers. Entries from '85. Boys lost his mind. Devil's work. Prayed all night. God. Fix him. Then. Softer. Evelyn cries in her sleep. My fault. Pushed too hard. Years later. Missed the kid. Wonder if Chicago swallowed him whole. The last entry. Dated a week before the heart attack. If I go first, tell Adam I'm sorry. Should have hugged him that night. Adam wept then. Journals clutched to his chest. The basement's damp air closing in. Betrayal not Dad's, but his own. For assuming the silence was stone when it was quicksand. He drove to Peter's, bursting in unannounced, collapsing into arms that held without question. He loved me, Adam sobbed. In his way, Peter rocked him, murmuring nonsense till the storm passed. Love's messy. Always was, but mess turned to minefield that summer, when Theo's patience frayed. A weekend in Saugatuck, Michigan's queer haven. Dunes and drag brunches started idyllic. The four of them, Theo insisting on inclusion, kayaking the Kalamazoo, beers on patios watching sunset gild the lake. But nights in the rented cottage grew tense. Peter's glances lingering too long, Theo's jokes sharpening to barbs. Ever think you're just chasing ghosts? Pete, Theo said one evening. Fire crackling. Adam and Peter stiff on Adirondacks across the pit. Adam hears married to his regrets. Fun fling. Sure. But, stop. Peter's voice was ice. But the damage seeped. Adam excused himself to the beach. Waves lapping like accusations. The stars indifferent witnesses. Theo found him there. Silhouette broad against the moon. Didn't mean to poke. But he's mine. You know? Built this life brick by brick. You're the what if that keeps him up. Adam nodded. Salt stinging his eyes, sea or tears, indistinguishable. I know. Just borrowed time. Back home. The lunches tapered, texts gone cryptic. Peter called one August night. Voice hollow. Theo wants space. Thinks we're poisoning it. Maybe he's right. The silence that followed was Adam's old armor, slipping back on like a ill-fitting coat. He threw himself into volunteering at the local LGBTQ center, reading to kids, sorting donations, acts of proxy living, mending what he couldn't in himself. Sarah visited, bearing pie and prying. Peter ghosted? Mutual, Adam lied. Timing's off. Fall leaves turned, and the high came crashing. An invite to Peter's solo show in Soho flying out, all expenses, as muse, tempted like sin. Adam went. The planes hum a lullaby of escape. New York swallowed him. Subways rattling, steam rising from grates. Peter's loft in the village, a chaos of canvases and takeout boxes. The opening was electric, critics buzzing, champagne fizzing, Peter's arm brushing his in the crush. This one's you, he whispered, guiding Adam to a triptych, youth's blaze, middle's ash, elder's ember reignited. Resilience. Theo was there, flown in for support, his presence a polite shadow. But after, in the loft's dim, with city horns blaring below, Peter pulled Adam close. Stay. Just tonight. They did. Bodies entwining like vines reclaiming ruin, whispers weaving futures unspoken. Morning brought Theo's suitcase in the hall, face drawn. Decided, he said. He's jingling. I'm out. You too. Figure your shit. But don't break him, Adam. He's more fragile than he lets on. The door clicked shut, final as a verdict. Peter crumpled then, Adam holding him through the sobs. The betrayer become bomb. We'll be okay, Adam promised, meaning it for once. Autumn in New York painted the park gold, but Adam walked its paths with a heaviness that no foliage could lift. Peter had insisted on the move, sublet the Evanston place, crash here till they sorted the wreckage, and for 3 weeks, it felt like reprieve. Mornings tangled in Egyptian cotton, afternoons wandering the Met hand in hand, evenings where Peter's brushes flew and Adam read aloud from dog-eared Auden. Theo's exit had been clean, almost gracious, a lease signed over, twins' custody shared, no alimony wars. Love him enough to let him chase this. Theo had texted Peter, CCING Adam with a wry emoji. But freedom's aftertaste was guilt, sharp as cider vinegar. Back in Illinois, Sarah's voicemails piled up. Where the hell are you? Grandsons ask about Uncle Adam. He called her from a payphone in Chelsea, old habit, anonymity's shield, spilling the basics, reunion, romance, relocation. Her silence stretched, then cracked with a sigh. About time. But New York? That's running again. Not facing. Not running, he protested, coins clinking like doubts. Building, she laughed. Soft. Then build here too. Holidays. The boys need to see their gay uncle happy, not mythologized. The word gay landed light, unburdened, Sarah's gift, hard-won over late-night confessions post-Dad's funeral. He promised turkey in Rockford, hanging up with resolve curdling to anxiety. Peter sensed it, of course, over dim sum in Chinatown, steam rising like unspoken fears. Family's the real canvas, he said, chopsticks poised. Blank till you stroke it. Adam nodded, but the strokes came hesitant. Thanksgiving loomed, and with it, the first real test, bringing Peter home, not as ghost, but flesh. The drive was fraught, Peter fidgeting with the radio, landing on Springsteen Mid-Thunder Road, their anthem, laughter easing the miles. Rockford's lights twinkled welcoming, but Sarah's hug at the door was appraising, her eyes flicking to Peter's ink-stained fingers, the earring glinting like a flag. Artist. Huh? She said, ushering them in, the house redolent of sage and pie crust. Boys, meet your uncles. Partner. The grandsons, 12, 10, 8, eyed Peter like a zoo exhibit, curiosity trumping caution. You paint dinosaurs? The youngest piped, and Peter knelt, sketching a T-Rex on a napkin with ballpoint flare, the room thawing instant. Dinner was chaos, elbows jostling, stories overlapping, Sarah's diner disasters, Peter's twin tales, Adam's center anecdotes drawing ooze from the kids. But under the table, Sarah's foot nudged his later. In the kitchen, suds foaming as she scrubbed, she cornered him. He's good for you. Lights you up. But Dad's ghost. It's here. She nodded to the mantel, Harold's urn-polished sentinel. You gonna talk to him? Adam glanced at the silver vessel, cold as judgment. How? He's ash. Same way you talk to me. Out loud. Say the shit you buried. That night, after the boys crashed to Mario Kart, Peter sketching by lamplight, Adam slipped outside, porch creaking under his weight. Snow flurried soft, the maple's branches clawing the sky. Dad, he started, voice cracking on the word. I get it now. The silence. It was fear, not hate. I'm sorry I let it win. Wind whispered back. Or maybe imagination. But the knot in his chest loosened a fraction. Inside, Peter waited, arms open, no questions asked. The idol held through Yuletide, tree trimming with ornaments Mom had strung, eggnog toasts to new chapters. But January brought the blizzard, stranding them in Rockford, power flickering like a pulse. Huddled by the fireplace, grandsons asleep upstairs, Sarah pulled out the family album, pages crackling like dry leaves. Look, she said, finger tracing a photo. Teen Adam and Peter at prom, him in rented tux, Peter in a thrift shop gown, both giggling, crowns of construction paper. You two were firecrackers. Dad saw it, hated it, but couldn't snuff it. Peter leaned in, thumb brushing the image. Wish he'd tried talking. Might have saved us all some grief. The storm raged, but inside, confessions flowed. Peter's AIDS vigils, holding hands through fevers. Adam's anonymous hookups in bathhouses. Terror of discovery chasing every climax. The letters to Mom, now digitized on Sarah's laptop, read aloud till tears salted the hearth. Forgive yourself, Peter murmured later. In the guest bed, bodies spooned against the cold. We're here now, but here proved fragile. February's thaw unearthed trouble. A call from Theo, voice edged with urgency. The twins, they're asking questions. Pete's barely home, buried in sketches of you. It's confusing them. Peter's face drained, phone slipping from fingers. Shit. I promised stability. Guilt coiled anew. Adam's fault by proxy. Go. Be Dad first. He did, flying back to Chicago, leaving Adam in the loft's echo chamber, walls closing like a vice. Days blurred to weeks, Peter's texts sporadic, laced with miss you, but heavy with soon. Adam returned to Evanston, the bungalow a tomb of unpacked boxes, volunteering ramped to distraction. At the center, he mentored a kid named Javier, 18, fresh out, parents disowning him over a boyfriend's photo on Insta. It gets better? Javier asked, eyes hollow. Adam wanted to say yes, but truth tempered it. It gets different. You fight for your peace. Nights, he pored over Dad's journals, entries painting a man cracked by war and want, Korea's mud, Mom's decline, the son he'd failed. One passage gutted him. If Adam's happy, that's enough. Even if it's not with a girl. Scrawled post-diagnosis, Parkinson's tremor blurring the ink. Spring bloomed mocking, tulips thrusting defiant, and Peter resurfaced. Dinner at a BYOB in Andersonville. His eyes shadowed, twins' drawings peeking from his satchel. Therapy, he admitted over pad thai. Family sessions. Theo's helping co-parent. But space, Adam. For them. For us to breathe. The us was lifeline, but breaths came shallow. They navigated it slow. Weekends in Saugatuck again. Just two. Dunes swallowing footprints. Gallery crawls where Peter's hand found Adam's in crowds. Anchor steady. But betrayal brewed subtle. A donor at Peter's June show. Silver fox with a Hamptons drawl. Lingering too close. Whispers Adam caught. Dinner? Your vulnerability inspires. Peter brushed it off. Networking. But seed of doubt sprouted. Watered by old fears. Adam confronted him in the loft. Voice steady as rebar. Am I the interlude? The Midwest detour before you level up? Peter recoiled. Hurt flashing. Jesus. No. You're the root. But life's not canvas. Can't control every stroke. The fight escalated. Words as weapons. Adam hurling Ellen's ghost. Peter flinging bathhouse judgments. Doors slammed. Silence descended thicker than snow. Adam fled to Rockford. Sarah's couch a refuge. Her pie no bomb. Push-pull, she diagnosed over tea. Like Dad with Mom loved fierce. Held loose. He stayed a week. Helping with the boys' science fair. Volcanoes erupting foam. Peter's influence in the vibrant posters. A package arrived mid-stay. From Theo. Addressed to Peter but forwarded. Inside. Custody papers. Amicable but final. And a note. For the boys' sake. Co-parent clean. Love you always. Peter showed up unannounced that Friday. Rain slicked and desperate. Envelope clutched. Read it. He's right, we need boundaries. But not walls. They talked till dawn on the porch. Rain a curtain. Truth spared. Peter's fear of loss. Atoms of erasure. Betrayed myself longest, Adam confessed. Hid so deep. Forgot the map out. Peter's hand covered his. Then let's draw one. Together. Summer sealed it. Tentative treaty. Peter selling the loft. Buying a brownstone in Uptown, closer to Rockford. Room for twins' visits. A studio sunlit for two. Adam sublet his bungalow to Javier. The kid blooming under mentorship. A cycle bent toward light. But climax brewed in the heat. August's haze mirroring the fog. Peter's big exhibit. Echoes unsilenced. Toured nationally. Starting in D.C. The National Portrait Gallery anointing him mid-career master. Reviews raved. O'Malley's gaze pierces the veil of American denial. Queerness as quiet revolution. Adam flew down, pride swelling, but the crowd held a specter. Uncle Ray, alive at 68, gaunt from chemo but grinning from a front row seat. Sarah had tracked him, San Francisco number, a lifetime's drift, and invited him for family mending. The reunion was electric. Post-reception at a DuPont Circle Bistro, Ray's stories of Castro summers, ACT UP marches, partner lost to the plague. Your dad wrote once, Ray said, eyes misty over scotch. After you left. Take care of my boy if he shows. Never did. But the thought. Adam's world tilted. Betrayal's final twist. Dad's silent outreach. A bridge half-built. Tears came unashamed. Ray's arm around him. Peter and Sarah witnessing the suture. That night, hotel sheets rumpled. Peter traced the new lines on Adam's face. Full circle. Not yet, Adam whispered, pulling him close. But closer. Fall's palette deepened. Leaves carpeting uptown sidewalks in crimson regret. And the brownstones settled into rhythm. A creaky symphony of Peter's easel scrapes and Adam's percolator gurgles. The twins visited alternate weekends. Eli and Mia, 8 now. Whirlwinds of questions and crayon chaos. Taking to Uncle Adam with the ease of clay under thumbs. Paint with us, Mia'd beg, and he'd try. His lines stiff beside Peter's fluid grace, laughter papering over the gaps. But harmony hid fissures. Peter's tour extended, LA next, then Seattle, commitments pulling like undertow. 2 weeks, he'd say, kissing Adam goodbye at O'Hare. Duffel slung like a shield. The absences stretched nerves taut. Adam at the center, counseling a surge of runaways post-election jitters, coming home to empty echoing. Calls came spotty, Peter's voice tinny with exhaustion. Miss you. Sketching dunes, yours and mine. Doubt whispered then. Old serpent, was this real? Or borrowed time till Peter's star outshone the domestic dim. A gallery email forwarded. Flirt from that Hamptons donor. Drinks in the village? Fueled the fire, though Peter deleted it unread. Adam confronted over FaceTime. Pixels blurring tears. Am I anchor or albatross? Peter's face crumpled. Hotel backdrop sterile. Anchor. Always. Flying back tomorrow. He did. Bearing peonies and promises. But the seed festered. October brought Rockford Harvest Fest. Sarah's booth slinging chili. Grandsons in hayrides. Peter fit seamless, juggling friars. Charming aunts with Irish blarney. Till Ray appeared. Uninvited but undeterred. His SF flight delayed by storms. Family Reunion 2.0, Ray quipped, hugging Adam fierce, his frame fragile under flannel. Chemo had whittled him, but eyes sparked defiant. Over bonfire crackle, stories flowed. Ray's army discharge, the letter from Dad stashed in a footlocker. Harold, scared shitless. Protect the kid. Betrayal layered. Dad's outreach ignored by pride. Ray's silence a mirror to Adam's. You're the brave one, Adam told him, embers glowing. Came out swinging. Ray shrugged, coughing into sleeve. Swing and miss half the time. But regrets the real killer. Peter watched quiet, hand in Adam's, the weight of unspoken pressing. Later, driving back, he broke. Theo called. Thinks I'm repeating patterns, chasing youth through you, like some midlife cliché. Adam's grip tightened on the wheel. And hurts. But true? Hell no. You're the pattern I want. Steady, deep, winter bit early, lake effect snow burying the brownstone, and intimacy warmed the chill. Slow mornings tracing tattoos, Peter's latest canvas a portrait of them, intertwined silhouettes against Midwest dusk. But March cracked it wide. A letter from the gallery, contract dispute, tour cancelled, funds frozen, Peter's master status teetering. Betrayed by my own ambition, he raged, pacing the studio, brushes snapping in fists. Poured soul into it, and for what? Suits and suits screwing me over. Adam pulled him down. Words bomb. Rebuild. Like us. But Peter's spiral deepened. Nights at bars with old contacts. Mornings hungover. Sketches jagged with anger. Adam found the donor's card in his jacket. Call anytime. And the fight erupted. Kitchen island barrier. Trust goes both ways, Adam shouted, voice raw. Or what's left? Peter's eyes flashed. Everything. I gave up Theo. The life. For this? You're the one who hid 40 years. The slap of truth silenced them. Air thick as smoke. Peter stormed out. Door slamming echo. Adam sinking to tiles. Sobs racking like flu. Sarah arrived at dawn, summoned by voicemail, bearing coffee and clarity. Go get him. Silence kills slower than screams. She drove. Adam shotgun. Scanning dive bars till Peter slumped at a Lincoln Park haunt. Whiskey neat. Eyes red-rimmed. Go home, he slurred. But Adam slid beside. Hand on knee. Home's you. Even broken. Peter wept then. Head on shoulder. The barflies averting eyes. Cab back. Confessions tumbled. Peter's fear of failure eclipsing love. Atoms of abandonment eclipsing faith. Dawn found them abed. Bodies bruised but binding. Renewal came green. April's rain washing slate. Peter withdrew the suit. Pivoted to locals, community murals at the center. Javier modeling for a pride piece. Adam facilitated. Their partnership public now. Hands clasped at galas. Peter's dedications to Adam. My line unbroken. Summer swelled with milestones. Twins' birthday bash in the yard. Cake smeared and candles guttering. Rockford pride. First for the family. Rainbows on floats. Ray video calling from hospice. Wave high. Boys. His decline accelerated. Lungs claiming what chemo spared. But voice steady. Proud. Adam. Tell Harold. August heat peaked the crisis. Peter's ex-agent, a shark in seersucker, cornered him at a wicker fest. Ditch the domestic. Kid. Solo act sells. Peter laughed it off. But doubt lingered. Nights restless. The breaking point hit Labor Day. Barbecue at Sarah's, grill smoke curling. Kids splashing hose. Peter pulled Adam aside. Face ashen. Found this. A journal. Dad's. Unearthed in Ray's effects, mailed posthumous. Pages chronicled Harold's vigil. Clippings of Peter's shows. Anonymous checks to AIDS funds. A letter unsent. Son, if you're reading, know I failed you. But love, that's eternal. Tears streamed. Adam clutching it. Betrayal's apex. Dad's quiet atonement. Parallel to his own silence. He tried, he gasped. In shadows, Peter held him, whispering, so do we. Step into light. Ray passed mid-September. Hospice bed by bay windows overlooking Golden Gate fog. Adam and Peter flew out. Sarah too. The service a tapestry of drag queens and activists. Eulogies fierce with fire. At graveside, scattered ashes in the surf. Ray's partner handed Adam a box. Photos, letters, a locket with Dad's miniature. Engraved, brother. Forgiveness loop, the man said. Close it. Back in Chicago. Winds off the lake carried salt of it all. And Adam proposed not ring, but resolve, marry me. Legal. Loud. No more halves. Peter's yes was breath, sealed with kiss salt-tanged. But fate, that American jester, twisted last. October gale unearthed flood in the brownstone basement, journals, sketches ruined, Dad's letter pulp. Peter salvaged what he could, but rage boiled. Universe's joke, drown the proofs? Adam pulled him up, water lapping ankles. Proofs us. Memories the ink. Winter wrapped them then. Holidays hybrid. Rockford tree with Chicago flair. Twins and grandsons orbiting like moons. Sarah toasted at solstice. To mending. Late, but lovely. The new year dawned crisp. Lake Michigan iced at edges like frosting. And the brownstone brimmed with blueprints. Not for Reno, but ritual. Their wedding June. Uptown Park under oaks. Swelled simple. Sarah matron of honor in linen shift. Twins ring bearers scattering petals rogue. Ray's partner officiating with Castro cadence. Vows exchanged amid duck quacks and breeze. Peter's, you were my first stroke. My lasting line. Adam's, 40 years silent now. Your voice in mine. Honeymoon was road trip. Impala resurrected from storage. Top down. Route 66 echoes. Diners in Springfield. Motels in Tulsa. Peter's sketches piling shotgun. Our canvas, he called it. Framing Grand Canyon sunsets beside roadside crosses. Return brought harvest. Peter's mural unveiling at the center. Silent no more. Queer elders' portraits. Adams among them. Eyes alight. Javier emceed. Voice steady. This man's map saved me. Pride swelled. But so did shadows, health check post-flood. Peter's cough lingering. Dismissed as stress. Fall deepened resolve. Classes taught tandem. Adam on finances for runaways. Peter on expression through art. Sarah visited often. Boys in tow. Her diner sold for a cozy bungalow nearby. Family's mobile now, she'd say. Pie in hand. Thanksgiving tested, Theo arrived. Twins in arms. Truce tentative. Dinner bridged, stories swapped. Laughter tentative then true. Co-dads, Peter toasted. And Theo clinked. Eyes soft. To evolutions. Winter's hush birthed quiet crisis. Peter's cough worsened. Doc's verdict pneumonia. But scans whispered deeper. Lungs scarred from 80s exposures. Artist's hazard or plague's ghost. Treatment loomed. Chemo echoes of Ray. But Peter's grin defied. Not done painting yet. Adam anchored. Nights reading poetry. Days juggling meds and meals. Sarah rallied. Soups delivered. Javier interned. Fetching canvases. The brownstone became hospice light. Infusions in the studio. Peter's brushes weak but willful. Portraits of them all. Fractured. Fierce. Spring teased green. But April stole breath. Peter hospitalized. ICU beeps a dirge. Adam vigil kept. Hand in his. Whispers of dunes and first kisses. Love you, Peter rasped. Eyes fading. Finish the line. He slipped at dawn. May 1st. Birdsong mocking the monitors. Adam shattered silent. Sarah folding him close. Twins hugs small anchors. Graveside, Lakeview. Under willows. Gathered wide. Center folk. Gallery ghosts. Rockford kin. Eulogies painted Peter vivid. He colored our silences. Adam spoke last. Voice cracked. 40 years I hid. He drew me out. Now, I'll carry the brush. Morning wove slow. Summer's heat a haze. Adam wandering dunes alone. Peter's ashes scattered there. Saugatuck sands. Eternal. The brownstone echoed. But life intruded. Twin summers. Javier's graduation. Adam walking him. Surrogate dad. Sarah's nudge to date. He'd want you whole. Refusal came gentle. Holes him. In me. Instead. Legacy. Foundation seeded. Peter's scholarships for queer artists. Murals multiplying. Chicago walls blooming defiant. Fall brought full circle. Dad's anniversary. Rockford cemetery crisp. Adam laid flowers. Journal pages pinned. Missed you, Dad. Forgave you. Love. Your son. Sarah linked arms. Human. All of us. Winter softened. And Adam found peace in fragments. Center stories. Family firesides. Peter's canvases on walls. Echoes unyielding. 64 now. Lines etched but eyes clear. He walked the lake path. Wind whispering absolution. One eve. Gallery call. Peter's echoes retrospective. Curation his. Standing before the triptych youth. Ember. Tears came. Not grief. But grace. We fit. He murmured to the empty hall. Outside. Snow fell soft. Blanketing the city in hush. Adam stepped into it. Head high. Silent no more.